Ziki Zikombot is calling you. Do you want to ride into outer space to see the world of another place? Ziki Zikombot is calling you.
Shall we go by car or train? How about a boat or plane?
My space shuttle travels in an endless plane with a speed that you might think is insane. Ziki Zikombot is calling you. Ziki Zikombot is calling you. Calling you.
I've just found an expert fisherman. Would you like to meet him? Here he is, Fisherman Rafiq. You are a good fisherman, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes, I thought you were. We've been talking about sinkers and floats. Let me show you. Over here, I've got some sinkers. And they're very heavy because they're made of lead, which is a very heavy metal. Now, Rafiq, where do we hang a sinker on our fishing line?
Right at the bottom of the line.
Right at the bottom of the line, because it's very heavy, isn't it?
Yes, Keith.
And here we have a sinker on the end of our line with a hook on it. Now let's see what happens when Fisherman Rafiq casts his line into the water. Off you go, Fisherman Rafiq. See? The sinker stays on the bottom and the hook is in the middle of the water. And when our fish comes along and it nibbles at the bait, what does Fisherman Rafiq do? He catches a fish. Well done, Fisherman Rafiq. Jolly good.
Keith,
Oh, yes,
I
Ken.
found this little ball in a fishing basket.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Let me have a look. Oh, well, why don't we ask our expert? Fisherman Rafiq, what do you think that is?
A float
A float. And where do we hang that on our fishing line?
above the...
Have you got one there I can see?
Like this one.
Like that one. Let me have a look. Yes, like that one. We hang it above the hook. Now then, I wonder if it's light or heavy. Let's see. Candice, would you like to try? Hold out your hands for me. That's right. One there and one there. And you tell me, is it light or heavy?
Light.
It's light. It's much lighter than the sinker, isn't it?
Yes.
So we hang it above our hook. Now let's see what happens when Fisherman Rafiq casts his line into the water this time. Come on, Candice. Now then, what's happened to the float?
It floats.
It floats. It stays on top of the water, doesn't it? And look, the hook is in the middle of the water. Now when our fish comes along and it sees the bait and it starts to nibble at that bait on the hook, what happens, Rafiq?
It goes up and down.
It goes up and down, and we have another fish for Fisherman Rafiq. Very good.
When it sinks, it goes down. When it floats, it stays on top. Water, water all around. It floats on top. Water, water all around. And we dive down.
While Keith and Rafiq have been out fishing, some of us have been doing some work around here, haven't we? All these objects on the table will either sink or float. Let's see which is which. Keith, we're ready.
Good. Let's have the first object.
What should we
A
take?
ping pong ball.
A ping pong ball. Right. There you are. Then take it over to Keith.
Hello, Lee. What have you got there?
A ping pong
A
ball.
ping pong ball. Now, do you think that's heavy or is it light?
Light.
So, do you think it's going to float on the water or is it going to sink?
Float.
Shall we try it? Hold it over the water in the middle and let go. What is it doing?
Floating.
It's floating because it's so light the water can hold it up, can't it?
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much, Lee. Super.
Now, this is our float sink chart. Let me show you how it works. This green part here is the water, and anything that is heavy enough is going to sink down to the bottom. The blue part here is the air above the water, so light objects are going to float on the water. So, Richard, you take the picture of the ping pong ball and you put it where you think it should go. Good. It's light enough to float, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, Alison's got the biggest object of all here, Alison, take that one over to Keith.
Oh, it is a big object, isn't it? Right. Now, what do you think? Is this going to float or is it going to sink?
Float.
You really think so?
Yes.
Shall we try it and see carefully? It floats, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes, even big objects can float. What is one of the biggest objects you can think of that floats on the water? People sail in it. In the sea.
A boat.
A boat or a ship. They are very big, aren't they? And they do sail on the water, don't they? Yes?
Yes.
Right.
I've got an L and I know it'll sink.
Why do you think it's going to sink, Richard?
It's heavy.
Because it's heavy. It's too heavy to stay on the water. Shall we try? All right. Let it go. Oh. You're quite right, Richard. Yes, it sinks to the bottom because it's too heavy to stay on top of the water.
Yes.
That's right.
And what's Alison got here?
The golf ball.
I'm going to take it over to Keith.
You've got a golf ball. Now, a golf ball is about the same size as a ping pong ball, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, is it heavy or is it light, Alison?
Heavy.
It's heavy. So do you think it's going to float or is it going to sink?
Sink.
All right, let's try out, see what happens. It does. It does sink, doesn't it? Right to the bottom.
What makes a golf ball so heavy, Keith?
Aha. Come over here and I'll show you. Let's open a golf ball and see what's inside, shall we? There. Look, there's a piece of very heavy rubber inside the golf ball. That's why it sinks to the bottom. But what have we got inside a ping pong ball?
Nothing.
Nothing at all, only air. That makes it very light, so it floats on top of the water.
It's Ziki!
Ziki's calling.
Hello, Ziggy. Keith here.
Good evening, Bob. Hello, Keith.
What's up?
Professor Galaxy would like to meet all the children in the space laboratory.
Can I go, Adelia?
Of course, you can all go.
They're on their way, Ziggy.
Good evening, Bob. The 77SS rocket plane is waiting.
We'll stay behind and finish the float sink chart while you're gone, all right?
Off you go.
Bye. Bye-bye. So remember, you can do these experiments at home if you like, either in the bath or even in a dish.
You can find out which objects float and which objects sink.
Bye.
When it sinks, it goes down. When it floats, it stays on top. Water, water all around. It floats on top. Water, water all around. And we dive down.
Evening, Bob. All instruments in order. Route set SL4271. Start main rocket motors. Good evening, Bob. Good evening, Bob. Calm down.
Hello, Professor Galaxy.
Hello, children. So nice to see you here in Space Lab. Welcome. Now, Ziki told me that you were doing experiments with objects that sink and float in water. Now, some objects don't only sink and float in water, they also float on air. Now, I have a surprise for you. Balloons!
Yay!
Look at that. Take one for you and one for you. Round one. And there's one for you. Now float them in the air and see what happens. Look at that. Oh, that. Oh, there you are. Richard, now why do they float?
Because they're light.
Ah, they're light and big. Now they float down and they all drop down. And in the end, they all land on the earth. Now let's see. At the count of 3, all drop your balloons. 1, 2, 3. See, some drop down faster than others. And what about you? Now, on the count of 3, all of you jump as high as you can. 1, 2, 3. What happened?
We all came down.
Yes, you all came down.
Professor Galaxy, what happens to the people on the other side of the Earth? Don't they fall off?
They don't know. That's a very good question. Come with me. You see, now we pretend that this big ball is the Earth. Now, we are all held to the Earth by a force in the middle of the Earth. And everything that falls down on the Earth is pulled to the center of the Earth by that force. And that force that pulls us, we call gravity. Now say that. Gravity. That's it. Gravity. Gravity is the word. You see, it's just as if we were all attached to the center of the Earth by elastic bands. You could jump up, and up is away from the Earth for everybody. But the elastic band would pull you back. It would pull you down, and down is towards the center of the Earth for everybody. And gravity works exactly like that. It pulls everything to the center of the Earth. So even if you are on the other side of the Earth, there is no chance of falling off, thanks to gravity.
Professor Galaxy, it even
It's Ziki, Professor Galaxy.
77SS rocket plane is ready for takeoff. All aboard, please. It even power.
Thank you, Ziki.
Ziggy loves it when a plan comes together.
Yes, so do we. Come on, children, that was a lovely visit. Off you go now. Ziki's waiting for you.
Bye, Professor
Bye-bye, all of you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Professor Galaxy.
Now, on the way back, I'm going to show them a film. And I want you to watch, because in this film, there is something very interesting about gravity.
This film that we are going to show you is about astronauts in their spacesuits on the surface of the moon. The force that pulls us all down to Earth is called gravity. That force is much weaker, 6 times weaker on the moon. The astronauts on the moon are 6 times lighter than when they are on the Earth. That is why they can take big steps on the moon. The gravity force is not pulling them down to the surface so hard. When they fall, they don't easily hurt themselves because they are much lighter.
Ziki Zikombot is calling you. Ziki Zikombot is calling you. Do you want to ride into outer space to see the world of another place? Ziki Zikombot.